So this is section B of the 2019 paper. Um, so let's just have a look. Um, let's look at section B, shall we? First of all, look at the question and copy and paste it in there. So you have to read, this is for 30. Use ideas for both text 1, text 2 and the extract booklet to answer the questions. You've been asked to talk to persuade your peers to read more books. Write the text for your talk. You should include bullet points, why people do not read books, why reading is important, advice to help people read more. Think carefully about the purpose of your talk and the audience for whom it is intended. Okay, so there it is. Let's have a look at what the mark scheme says. So we're looking to do a De Forest D probably, aren't we? A suitable register for a talk to peers should be adopted. Candidates should address all areas. The following are some points that candidates may make, but there are other possibilities. Some candidates may interpret the task more widely and use other examples than those mentioned in the passages. Why people do not read books, modern technology, boring books, reading material, criticism from adults of teenagers' choice, lack of confidence, teenage distractedness, hard work, too busy, not interactive. Why reading is important, can influence your views, change your idea of the world, helps communication because it gives you loads of lovely vocabulary and ways of communicating. Helps even more important with digital communication because everyone's online all the time. Develops understanding for others. It develops empathy because you can see into other people's point of view. Can change your view of the world by reading about other people's view of the world. It develops your emotions because you actually end up looking at what other people are thinking and get into their world. It's better than snippets of information, so that the information that you actually get um, normally is very small and limited, like on websites and on Twitter and things. Helps to learn new words, ideas. Develops concentration, develops perseverance. Yeah, because you have to get through a book. Help advice to help people read more. Find books you enjoy. There's no such thing as a bad book. Adults should not dictate what you read. Read as much as you can. Switch off your phone. Stop seeing reading as boring. Set aside time for reading. So we're hoping to look at AO1. Select an interpretation of the given bullet points. It's appropriate, detailed, and fully supports the points being made. Offers a good number of relevant points. Makes well-focused comments, information, ideas. Well, I haven't read it yet, but I'm hoping that that's what you've got. I'll just put that here. That's 7 or 8 marks. Right, so ever since the 1990s, the internet has been a huge part of everyone's lives. This has caused videos and videos become much more common. This means that reading has fallen out of favour because it's easier to watch a film or video or film. While I agree that videos and film are overall better than books due to their interactivity, people still need to read more books. Here's why. When you're reading books, you have to use your imagination to put some of the pieces together. You cannot physically see the environment. Improving your imagination is a good thing, as it also improves your creativity. Often you might come across a word in a book you don't know. If you're watching a video film, you're not bother looking at what the word means. Books, however, are slower paced, so you'll be able to bother to check what the word means. This will improve your vocabulary. Another reason many people think of it is saves electricity. Videos and films require electricity, and that means more CO2 emissions. Plus, they won't be available during power cuts. iPads and other portable devices will still work during power cuts, but the router will be down, so the internet won't work. Overall, books have their pros and cons. I think they should be read from time to time. Just find something you like. It could be a comic series, a novel, or anything else that you know you're interested in. Any genre except those you're too young for. If you don't know where to start, ask your friends what they like reading and give that a go. Unless you're like me, you don't have any friends. Okay. So you've got you haven't really got why is reading important? What have you got that? You have to use your imagination. Another reason people don't think it is saves electricity. Okay. How many words have you got? $300. Okay, so 300 words. So if we go back and look at the mark scheme again. So how much do you think it's worth then? So selective interpretation of the given bullet points is appropriate detail and fully supports the points being made. You could have picked up some of the things that either one of them has said. So, why people do not read books, you could have taken it all from that second one and just reworded it. And you could have taken more from the first one, couldn't you? For the second bullet point. Advice to help people read more, find books you enjoy. So you have to use the actual text. So if we look, this is the spelling. So you probably get about 8 for that because you communicate successfully and you've got a secure realization of the purpose and the expectation requirements of the attended readers, effective use of form, tone, and register. So I'd give you that. So it's out of 30, isn't it? So if I go here, 8. So this is A05. Write clearly using a range of vocabulary and sentence structure with accurate spelling, paragraphing, grammar, and punctuation. You have that quite good actually. So manipulates complex ideas using a range of structure and grammatical features to support coherence and cohesion. Uses extensive vocabulary strategically, rare spelling to not detract from the overall meaning. Punctuates writing with accuracy, using a range of sentence structures accurately and selectively. So it's not that level, is it? I say it's level 3, 5. So level 3 develops and manages appropriate information and ideas using structure and grammatical features delivered with accurate paragraphing. Yeah, so I think uses varied and selective vocabulary, including words with irregular patterns. Uses a range of accurate and varied punctuation. So I'll give you that. 5. So question 8. Communicate effectively and imaginatively, adapting form, tone, and register of writing for specific purpose and audience. Communicate successfully, a secure realization of purpose and the expectation required of the intended reader, effective use of form, tone, and register. probably give you a 5. Alright, let's have a look. Question 8. So the first AO1, I'll give you 5. AO4, I'll give you 5. AO5, I'll give you 5. Giving you 8 though. Why have I given you 8? I'll give you 6. So we're looking at AO5, AO1, so 16 out of 30. Okay. So what we want is more de forest, okay? So we want some imagery. We want some rule of 3. We want let's have a look. We want some direct address. You have got a little bit of a direct address there, haven't you? So some rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions. It's all part of the game, really, okay? Have you ever found a book you can't put down? How did it make you feel when you finished it? Reading can transport you to another dimension. Yeah, so adjectives as well. Old-fashioned, tatty, smelly. Dash, these are some of the charges levelled at books. They certainly take up a lot of space. So why aren't they obsolete? Some commentators are very scathing about the lack of reading in our young people. and seem to think that teens are glued to their phones. Is this true? Okay, so you can see we're using. Have you got? We're using all sorts of devices. Where is your semicolon that I've told you to use your colon? Where are they? Okay, so you've got one there. Here's why. It doesn't need a capital. So when you use a semicolon, you don't need a capital. I'll underline that. You could also offer some anecdotes, couldn't you? Books you have read or have seen people going mad about. You could do that. So they're personal stories. That's what anecdotes are. And you should really, if I go back to the, you select from, so you could select from the here, couldn't you? So we could select from here. So you're selecting. Authors say libraries and librarians foster a love of reading. Um, so even if you haven't got hold of, you can't afford books, you could go to libraries. Confident and enthusiastic readers um, are more literate. You learn new words, new thoughts to keep going. Yeah, so here we are here. Reading is key. So I don't know. We could look at this. Learn new words, new thoughts. That's nice. That bit there. You could sort of rephrase that in your own words. You might don't have to believe it. So here, in own words. So here we are. Put this into your own words. So reading helps you gain new vocabulary, see the world in a different place, um, and that books aren't out of fashion. Words are more important than ever because online we're reading all the time. Could say that. So have a little look at this. Yeah, you could talk about bad books. Well-meaning adults can easily destroy a child's love of reading. And in prose fiction, you have to step into someone else's world, unlike a film. We need, yeah, so he's got a nice list here. You could do rephrases. And of course, he's quoted an expert as well. Einstein, who's a big expert. So, yeah, Command V. Quote experts. Okay. Anyway, it's a pass and you'll get through, okay? You will get through and that's fine. What I'm most concerned about is the section A, really. That one, you just need to think about deforestry, direct address, alliteration, anecdote, statistics. You need to make sure that you use everything you possibly can from these two pieces. I've gone through Guyman's, but you can look at his as well. Yeah. And you could quote the Pew Research Centre that children are reading less, but actually, um, so steal some stuff from there. Reading literature can be life changing. For example, if you actually read a book about the Afghanistan war or about coronavirus or any a book on it can give you more understanding really about how other people live their lives. All right, so that one's a little bit better. Yeah, but you still need to really be aware of it. Okay, how to do that. So, yeah. So I'll stop that there. And what I want you to do is just to remember that you're actually picking stuff out from there and that you're actually trying to insert. Yeah, so basically this is all right. You just need to put a bit more rhetorical devices in, okay? More devices basically, which are in my list of stuff, okay? You could actually watch just for to remind yourself how to do that. You could have a little look at this one, which is what's it? Animal testing one. I'll just show you this one to watch. And the effect is, the crying of a. So if I put this one. So, what we're going to do today is look at persuasive writing, and we're going to try and get that under our belt because that's what the GCSE asked us to do. And we want to be able to write a persuasive piece or to actually persuade people to our point of view as well. So, we're going to look at animal testing as a disaster. One piece on animal testing that was discussed whether it's a disaster, and then another piece that's on the side of animal testing. This one's by Jeremy Byrne, um, and I'll just read it out loud to you, and we'll just point out some key things. Um, so, thousands of people have been injured or killed by drugs that were found to be safe for other species. So there you've got facts, haven't you? And statistics. Animal testing is a disaster, according to Jeremy Byrne in, I think it's in The Independent, not sure actually. Um, what do you feel is more important, the life of your child or the life of a few rats? So there's your rhetorical questions, direct address. Such stark contrast are common currency in the heavily polarised debate about experiments on animals. On the one side, the misguided sentimentality of the animal rights campaigners, and on the other side, the tireless pursuit of health, human happiness, and health by the researchers. So you've got some emotive language there too, misguided sentimentality, um, and the tireless pursuit of human happiness. It sounds like he's on the side of the researchers for looking for human happiness. But since those wide eyed activists have put animal rights somewhere on the election agenda, you may be interested to know there is a totally hard headed and rational case to be made for saying that animal experimentation has been a scientific and medical disaster. So the word medical disaster, very emotive and very powerful language there, trying to convince us that actually it's a disaster. That far from saving lives, it has caused injury and death to thousands. At the time and time again, it has led both researchers and legislators into a blind alley. So legislators are people who make the law, and a blind alley is obviously a metaphor. They haven't literally gone up a blind alley. But surely you cry. We need animal experiments to discover how safe new drugs are before we can give them to humans. Again, direct address. Are you really crying that? But, that's what they're saying. But entertaining. Well, the combination of fenfluramine and dexfenfluramine touted as the answer to a dieter's prayer. So basically, if you took those two drugs, you'd be able to lose weight. Touted as the answer to a dieter's prayer a few years ago, was extensively tested on animals and found to be very safe. So they gave it to lots and lots of humans. Unfortunately, it caused heart valve abnormalities in humans, which is rather fatal, I would imagine. Or how about the arthritis drug Oprin? Tests on monkeys found no problems, but it killed 61 people before it was withdrawn. So there's your figure. 61's a lot of people. And as for having to choose between rats and your child, Silert, given to children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, was fine for animals but caused liver failure in 13 children. So again, more facts and figures there, and quite grim actually. So the problem is not a new one. In fact, it is blindingly obvious. There's emotive language. In fact, it is blindingly obvious. Animals are not the same as humans, so drugs that affect them in one way may well affect us differently. Now, this is usually presented as a solvable problem by researchers. We can get an idea of the mechanism from animals and then fine-tune with humans, they say. But it doesn't really work like that. Species, even those that seem closely related, may function quite differently at a molecular level, and there is no way of predicting what the differences will be. Rats and mice, for instance, look pretty alike to us. But when it comes to something as basic as whether a chemical causes cancer or not, the results may be totally contradictory. Out of 392 chemicals tested for carcinogenic effects at the American National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, 96 were positive in the rat and negative in the mouse, or vice versa. So which of those are harmful to humans? The Institute can't say. So there we are, you've got lots of facts there. And you've also got experts, the American National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, that we think, maybe it's very impressive and we'll believe. And carcinogenic means cancerous, basically. For 30 years, they fed high doses of a range of new chemicals to animals to discover if they cause cancer or other damage. The results are recorded in blue books that take up 10 foot of shelving in the Institute. But ask how many of the substances might produce tumours in humans at normal levels, and no one really knows. So that's not very helpful, is it? So what about the ones that didn't harm rodents? How many of them might harm humans? They don't know that either. So lots of useful questioning there. The lack of predictable differences between animals and human reactions is something that has bedevilled AIDS research. AIDS is a high-profile disease with a lot of research money available, so it surely makes sense to ignore ethical objections and use chimpanzees. Bedeviled AIDS research means dogged AIDS research or hindered AIDS research. So surely it makes use to use chimpanzees. It is surely precisely because their genome, that's their DNA, is identical to ours, give or take a few percentage points, that they should yield more accurate results than rodents. So I'm going to stop that there. So you can see that it's using imagery, emotive language, questioning. It's using all the ingredients of deforestry, facts, statistics. So just try and remember that when you're doing it. Underneath, I've got the link to the actual article, I think. So animal testing is a disaster. Yeah, so you can read that in your own time, but if you're interested, because that is actually quite important. But you do need to, basically remember that is a persuasive writing question or a transactional writing, which is when you do transactional or persuasive writing. you're trying to persuade or inform somebody of something, and we try to use all those ingredients, okay, or argue. Okay, so you can be asked to do a talk or a letter, and make sure you do it in the it's clear that it's a genre. So there's the link there. I'll share it with you. Okay, so that's just to try and help you understand what deforestee is all about, really. Okay, have I put the link in for this? Hang on, just put the link in. Okay, so there's the link. You can listen to that in your own time. You can read it. It's interesting anyway. Okay, so basically use 8 types of punctuation. Try and use the rhetorical devices of deforestee or to actually to go up the grade boundaries, and make sure you use the text as much as possible. That's my advice to you. All right. See you for the next one.